singularity.
I guess I don't have to introduce myself. So the future of learning in 2030. I've been involved in education for the last 25 years, and I've been quite frustrated. I feel like we're cheating our children out of their future. It's ridiculous to think that today that children are still sitting in desks like this in rows, using paper, learning things that will have no real significance in their lives. That is ridiculous. In many ways, this is a system that starts with the universities and the university entrance exams. They set the bar that everybody follows. The companies are the next layer. The companies would like to see people graduating from university that have certain skill sets, but the universities are still stuck on the model that we are to teach you what you need to learn. The companies are not also receiving the people that they need for their bright future. And the human resource departments, in general, are still stuck in the 20th century, assessing people on things that are really not that relevant to the future of organization, especially for an exponential organization. Why are we racing and racing and racing towards the finish line? Because whoever's first is the winner. That really isn't a model of working together and a model of collective intelligence. That also is a model of the past. But we can't just blame the schools or the companies for limiting our future. If you do the math, in Japan, children go to school about 7 hours a day, 200 hours, 1,440 hours or 1,400 hours, and then they're only in school about 16% of the time. So in 1 year, children are only in school about 16% of the time. Probably in companies, that number might be around 33%. So it's really us as lifelong learners that are responsible for our learning. And we need to take control of our learning for our bright future for 2030. So what does that look like? Really, what it's all about, if you think about singularity, is when the human intelligence and the artificial intelligence becomes equal. What happens? But let's go backwards. It's really the synergy between the human and technology to allow us to make 1 + 1 = 11. There we go. So the 1 + 1, the human plus technology, equals 11, which is collective intelligence. That's really what we're trying to find, is a synergy between the human and technology to have the highest level of collective intelligence. If you want to take that to the next level, it's creative collective intelligence. And it's that synergy between the two to create that. So how do we create the highest level of creative collective intelligence for a bright future for learners in 2030? Why? Why do we learn? What's the purpose of learning? Well, we're human. We need to learn. We need to connect with nature. We need to become one with nature and together with each other. That's why. We need to nurture our 3 Ps, our passion, our mokuteki, and to be playful. What do you want your purpose to be in life? Have you really thought about why you're living, why you're here? And what do you need to learn to coexist and to exist, to have your bright future? There's a crab farmer in Okinawa whose purpose is to help the whole ecosystem of the ocean in Okinawa through crab farming. Very passionate about that. Very unique. Each one of us is unique, and each one of us is an individual that can find the synergy and the superpower that we all have as people to find synergy between our passion and our purpose. Curiosity. We're curious. Why do we want to learn? Because we're curious. We are born curious. Also, we learn because we want to solve problems. We want to make our lives better, and we want to make the world a better place. We need to create that and make that. And the younger that we're making and creating things to wire our brain for change. When you make or create something, you're throwing into the future something that doesn't exist, and finding synergy of your existing knowledge and bringing that together. So when you're making or creating things to make a better world, and the younger we can wire our brains for that, the better. What do we need to learn? So much of what we're learning in school today, and the companies today, has really very little true relevance. Skills. Most companies that I work with, I ask them, the human resource departments even, do you know what the future skills are? How can you be preparing your people for an exponential future when you don't even know what these skills are? If you were to look at this here and you were to rank yourself, maximum 100 points, 10 for each, what number would you get? And here, which areas do you have the most purpose and passion for? Those most likely are your higher areas. So we need to learn the future skills, and we need to have them better, and we need to be assessed on those skills within our school environments and within our organizations. We need to learn how to connect the unconnected, finding the synergy. And that could include the 8 exponential technologies and the tools. How do we interconnect those in a way to have those aha moments, to create something that doesn't yet exist? How do we ask the right questions? How do we come up with ideas? And then how do we assess whether it's a good idea or not? And we also need to learn the power of the story. Stories have been with us for the history of manhood. So we also need to be good storytellers and be able to share and be able to communicate our messages. But there's also certain information that we can learn as well. Certain information that might be unique, that might seem ridiculously unconnected, but we have to have some base knowledge within our brain or the synergy of AI to work together to have that knowledge. I think one day, maybe it's 2030, I'm going to wake up in the morning and I'm going to look over and Einstein's going to be there next to me. He's going to say, Patrick, good morning. How would you like your dreams summarized for you? Where would you like them summarized? You normally like them in the shower because that's when you think the best. Would you like to have your dreams in the shower? And then I go to the bathroom and it says, you had too many glasses of wine last night, Patrick. Probably need to drink some water. And then it says, well, based on your learning objectives and your goals, you have 45 minutes that you need to play a game to learn what you need to learn. And so eventually this AI bot, right now in education and in the world, it's one-to-one laptop advice or everybody has their own device. We're going to be in a world where everybody has their own bot. And it's going to be really start to feel real. And right now, Microsoft has a bot called Dina, and she's communicating simultaneously with 5 million people at the same time. And people are missing their trains, completely distracted because they think she's real. So we're going to have our own katekyoshi, our own tutor, our own personal assistant, our own whatever you want to call it. And that will change dramatically what we need to know. We need to be able to coexist with each other in this concept of collective intelligence to make the world a better place. We need to understand better who we are. And that could be just by letting our inner child out and connecting with our inner child. Or our learning styles. Most people don't even know their own learning styles. Are you a visual learner, kinesthetic, auditory? How do you learn? How do you best process information? We are so ineffective and inefficient in how we learn. That gap needs to be narrowed. The technology now, this is going to be a classroom. And maybe there won't even be a smartphone in 5 years. It's all going to be built in one. What implications will that have in the future of learning? And then we have all of these different exponential technologies and tools that we need to find synergy with. So pick one. Pick two. Which ones do you have the most interest in? And why do we tell you have to learn about all of them? Just like all the subjects in school. Does that make sense? Probably most of you in the room here have felt, why am I learning this? I have no interest in this. I can't wait till this be over. What a waste of our time. Why not channel it where our heart and our passion and our purpose is and align that and develop that deeper and deeper so we have our own special skill or own special area of expertise that we can share? Where? Where are we going to learn? Anywhere. Because 3 billion more people are going to be online, and that number is going to grow. So everybody's going to have access to the same knowledge and information anywhere in the world. That changes learning dramatically. It could be in Africa. Or we could think we're in Africa because the power of virtual reality. What I don't understand when I look around companies in Japan and around the world is that the companies look like the classrooms of the schools that you went to. Except there's a few things missing. Where's the playground to play? Where's the area you feel comfortable to be together and gather? Why does it have to be in a building? Why do we have to be learning in a particular space? Why can't it just be anywhere? Why don't we have children going off to camps for a couple weeks and being in nature and being connected with nature and with each other? Because what really is the purpose of school these days and of learning institutions? Is it the knowledge we gain? Or is it how we wire our brain for change? But we have to feel safe. We have to feel safe in an environment to take risk. To create those environments. So if you think about the skills, the 2020 skills from the future skills from the World Economic Forum, and you look at those, and you think about 46% of the jobs will be born in Japan in the next 10 years, there's a big gap there, a huge gap. It's a little bit scary. I don't feel very safe. But if I understand what I'm good at and my strengths, and I'm able to build on that and become the unique person that I am, and we all are in this room, it may not be so scary. emotion, being connected, and being connected with technology. That relation is going to continue to grow and grow as well. Pepper has emotion. What does that mean? What does that mean for you as a learner? What does emotional intelligence mean if a robot has emotions? The impact of being able to see things almost anywhere in the world now with drones also changes how we look at the world and how we look at the world as a learner. How we see things, how we see our future. Innovation. There's a lot of talk about innovation. What does that mean? How can you be innovative? What do you need to become innovative? What makes you unique? How well do you know yourself? Tomorrow's workshop, for those who will be with Raymond and Yoko, you have a chance actually to find out more about who you are. Information and knowledge to who you are is really big to understand who you are and what your needs are as a learner. And as learners, I think we're being assessed, but probably on the wrong things. Imagine if we're being assessed by the gross happiness index or the consciousness index in our schools, in our companies. It would dramatically shift our behaviors in what we do, because how we're assessed in the end is what we work towards. So whether it's school or it's human resources, how we're assessed will have a huge impact. And the tools we're given to allow us to learn also have a huge impact. How? How are we going to be learning in the future? What's that look like? Well, there's going to be prototyping. These are 8th grade students at Tokyo International School that built their own solar car in the maker shop, maker space they have. Prototyping stuff, making things is how. Making things together, because it's really about working together in collaboration. It's not my idea or his idea. It's a collaborative idea. Almost no new idea has come solely as a brand new idea. It's an accumulation of many different ideas that have come together to create a new idea. So it's about prototyping and working together. How much prototyping takes place in the schools now? How much prototype is taking place in your companies now? Very little is my guess. And using IoT and sensors to monitor how we're doing, to be mindful. One of the most important things we need as a learner is to be mindful, to think about how we're thinking, or to be aware of our environment and aware how things are changing. So as a learner, we really need to be able to work together with technology to understand more about who we are and where we are in that space and time. And games. Learning is leveled. Games are leveled. Why aren't we playing lots of games to learn what we need to learn? But right now, most of the games that are available are playing a soccer game or shooting something. Where is the deep, impactful learning games that will actually go after those global challenges that we've been talking about to change society? There are some available, and I think more and more there will be. But I'd much rather see children playing games for 2 hours or us in the workplace to achieve our learning objectives. And it could be through virtual reality or augmented reality and the power of augmented reality. Augmented reality, you have the ability now to see what somebody else is seeing. Eventually, you're going to be able to hear what somebody else is hearing. And what will that mean for you as a learner? To be anywhere in the world connected to that, and vice versa. Playfulness, purposeful play. What happened to play? We have to have an excuse now as adults to play. In Japan, there's Breiko-jikan, right? It's kind of like you can say what you want in a playful way to your boss. But if you want to make new things and create things, you have to feel free and open to play and create. I'm guessing in the companies in this room, the amount of opportunity you have to play and connect that with learning and moving yourself and your organization forward are probably quite limited. How many of you in the room here have tried virtual reality? Augmented reality? How many of you played Pokemon Go? That's augmented reality. Think about using those tools, what it would look like and how different it would be. When you're engaged in virtual reality, your brain doesn't know the difference between reality and virtual reality. Your brain thinks it's the same. The implication for that as us as learners, we can experience, let's say we have a phobia of something. We can experience that hundreds of times and break that phobia. And eventually that's going to be wired to our brain, and we're going to know that exact second when our brain reacts to something. Because of the neuroscience knowledge that we're gathering together with virtual reality. Wait till we're able to see better than we can with our human eyes. And how that's going to impact us in our 5 senses as learners. And what about values and ethics and a sense of purpose and honor? One of the biggest things by far that Japan can share with the world is a sense of purpose, togetherness, and ethics. What does that look like in a learning environment? What does that look like in a work environment? Are we assessing that? And how are we assessing that in our organizations? It's about the crowd now. It's about crowdsourcing, collaboration, collective intelligence, crowdfunding. It's about the crowd. How do we include the crowd in learning? How do we have these collective intelligence projects, prototyping, and things that we make and create together? And why are we not assessing those using technology, maybe with a video? So really, it's about reaching the highest potential level of creative collective intelligence through the power of the human spirit, the human heart, in synergy with the power of technology. How would you see, hear, and feel your purpose and your passion is integrated in your workplace? Many people today think that enjoying yourself or following your passion or having your purpose is something you do after you work. We need to bridge that gap, and we need to figure out which learning tools we can use to bridge that gap. The world is looking more and more real, but it's not. And technology and us are becoming more and more interconnected. And it's that synergy we find together. But when you look in the classrooms today and you look in the companies today, they're still stuck in the 20th century. So what I ask you, the challenge for all of us to reach our future as a learner in 2030, and the tools for that, we really need to shift our mindset and how we look at what we need, why we need it, and how we're going to reach our goals. And as Alan Kay said, best way to predict the future is to create it yourself. We're creating our future every single moment. And the only person that's limiting us and holding us back from our future is us. And the power of technology and the synergy of that moving us forward will allow us to do so much more than we ever could have dreamed of. Thank you very much.